it's impossible to avoid them. For decades, we've been surrounded by sweet and fatty foods, and the body has not been dealing well with these eating habits. But what about the brain? Do our mental health, our moods, and our brain abilities suffer from the wrong kind of nutrition?
We know that junk food is making us fat, but science is telling us now that it might also be shrinking our brains.
Brain researchers have joined the dining table to study the effects of our eating habits.
Diets that are high in fat and sugar in the long term lead to changes in part of the brain involved in memory.
This is a recent field of research, a developing science that spotlights a new facet of nutrition.
Habitual intake of foods high in fat and sugar result in a reprogramming of the brain.
In short, our brain is affected by what's on our plates.
And then it comes to preparing our food, and here it can often go wrong. So for instance, our root vegetables, the vegetables that grow under the ground, we generally peel the skin, and a lot of the nutrients, almost 50% of the nutrients, will lie just under the skin. Then have a look at how you're actually preparing that food. Are you preparing it far in advance, or are you preparing it just before you're cooking it? And how we cook our food is probably one of the most neglected parts of the whole food chain, because we tend to heat blast it, we tend to cook in a lot of the ways that are going to destroy the last nutrients left in our food. So I am talking about fruits and vegetables here because it is such an important part of our diet. They carry vitamins, minerals, age-defying antioxidants, fibre to keep the digestive system healthy. They have so many valuable and vital properties. And we firstly cook them in water, and water is going to leach out many of the nutrients because so many of the vitamins in our food are water soluble. And the water-soluble vitamins will be leached out when you boil something in water. Even steaming has its problems because steaming really is a cooking method which is supposed to be done quite quickly, but it's still a wet cooking method, so you're still having steam, you're still having water in contact with the vegetables. And if you're cooking them for a long time, rather than just getting the very hardness out and making them more digestible, and if you can see colour in the water when you've boiled vegetables, or if you can see colour in the water when you steam them, then the chances are you've lost quite a few water-soluble nutrients because a lot of the nutrients are coloured. And some cooking methods not only use water, but they use an awful lot of heat. So if we're not boiling, we tend to be frying or baking or roasting. And those cooking methods are done at really high temperatures. So when we're cooking, we really need to look at how we're cooking, whether we're using water, leaching the nutrients, whether we're using heat, blasting out quite of the nutrients, and in particular when we're cooking with fat. Fats that we really need to look at avoiding are too many saturated fats, and the ones we absolutely need to avoid are the hydrogenated fats and the trans fatty acids, and these are the products for processing, either by chemically altering the fats, flooding through hydrogen ions, or by heating to quite high temperatures. Heating will destroy the beneficial properties of fats and turn fats into something else. It's always a question that we get asked all the time as nutritionists: what should I cook in? Which fat should I use to heat? Because the only fats that are safe and stable to heat are the saturated fats. But the saturated fats are what we classify as the bad fats. These are the fats that clog up the cell membranes, they cause inflammation within the body, they can get clogged up in the cardiovascular system, leading to heart problems and cardiovascular disorders. And in terms of the inflammation aspect of these fats, almost every disease has a root in inflammation, certainly every disease which is associated with ageing. Although we're living longer, we want to live well, and the statistics are not showing that. We're living longer, but we're living sick and with degenerative disease and pain.